Weird SpongeBob episodes have been a staple since the show's beginning. In the last few seasons especially, the crew has to get creative to make new stories instead of directly copying old ones. That's what happens to a show that goes on for more than 20 years, and that leads us to the Krusty Bucket, an episode that just recently premiered. Right now, I want you to imagine combining Mr. Krabs and Plankton into a single body. Oh wait, you don't have to, it's right here! This is disturbing. The story of the episode involves Plankton using DNA from himself and his enemy to create a clone that would result in a fusion of their bodies. His main goal is, of course, to get the Krabby Patty secret formula by using this new clone who has Mr. Krabs' knowledge. Things get out of hand really quickly though, because it turns out that Plain Crab took over the Krusty Krab, and while that seems good at first, he decides to also take over the Chum Bucket, combining them into the Krusty Bucket. Yeah, in the span of just a few minutes, Plain Crab managed to turn the enemy restaurant into his very own, and what makes the whole situation even stranger is that comfortable handshakes made his way to the top of the chain.
An evil handshake. That's hands down the dumbest thing I ever...
Right away, seeing the Krusty Krab and Chum Bucket become the same restaurant over a fusion of the two owners is weird, but still creative. Mr. Krabs is out of a restaurant since even his own employees have been tricked, while Plankton's plan completely backfired and he's in trouble. It leads to an interesting dynamic for the episode where Plankton and Mr. Krabs have to team up, even though they've always been enemies. This is giving me some huge friend or foe vibes, which was that season 5 episode where it turns out that the two had a secret past of their own, and they were actually friends. Even though their rivalry has been a necessity throughout the series, watching them team up every once in a while is nice. During the Krusty Bucket, you'll realize that SpongeBob himself doesn't play a major role. He sort of just sits there obeying every command from Plain Crab, and at one point he's a fan for some reason. I don't know what's going on here, why is he doing that? Instead of the episode centering around the iconic sponge like usual, Mr. Krabs and Plankton both get the main focus, which is refreshing. I think it's cool when the show takes a backseat on SpongeBob and instead revolves stories around other characters in Bikini Bottom, since it's just so different. The Mr. Krabs Plankton team up doesn't happen too often, immediately setting this episode apart from many others. One of the weirdest parts about this episode is probably the ending, when Plain Crab splits up and becomes this? They're defeated by shaking hands with each other and then completely melting out of existence. I'm not making this up, I sorta wish I was, but here you go. Overall, the Krusty Bucket was probably one of the more unique stories to come out recently because it seems like such a simple premise, just the two restaurants being combined, but with the addition of this weird new clone fusion guy, it is no longer a pointless episode about stealing the secret formula. The secret formula stories have been getting repetitive, and after 20 years, you know exactly how they're gonna play out each and every single time. It's hard to really be interested. Instead, it's an alliance against this greater evil, something that's not done often throughout SpongeBob and is unique enough to not feel like a rehash of a previous episode. But despite the Krusty Bucket being a weird idea, it still worked. Everything from start to finish was believable, whether it was Plankton's insane plan to combine DNA for a clone fusion, or the team up between these old enemies. I'd highly recommend watching the episode since it's pretty awesome. But anyway, that's all for this video. Subscribe for more awesome cartoon videos. Give a thumbs up and comment below, let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.